The special meeting of the Annapolis City Council on Monday, July 28th, 2025 will be called to order at 7 p.m. At this time, please join us for the invocation given by Alderwoman O'Neill, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you very much. Tonight, each of us is a minority with respect to something. It might be race, religion, sexual orientation, nationality, or any other way we may be regarded as different. Each of us is also part of some majority. It is when we wear our majority hats that we need to be most mindful of how we treat others. We must pledge our best efforts to help one another and to defend the rights of all of our citizens and residents. Thank you.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Here.
Alderman Huntley?
Present.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Present.
Alderwoman Pendell Charles?
Present.
Alderman Finlayson?
Present.
Alderman Shanda Meyer? Alderman Gay? Alderman Savage?
Present.
Alderman Arnett?
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the first on the agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
This time I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended to add O2025, sale of city-owned property at 932 Spa Road and 93 Spa Road on second reader.
Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to remove O1925 from the agenda and postpone that to our next meeting. To postpone it to the next meeting, yeah.
Well, what's point of clarification? Which is title of 019, please?
O1925 is the tour operator bill. We just haven't finished the amendments on it. It was not supposed to be on today's agenda.
Point of order.
For the tour operators, yeah.
Did you say you're removing that? Are you postponing it?
Postponing it.
Do we need a motion to do that? Is that going to be included in the? Okay.
Yep. Can I get a motion on those two, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second? Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is ceremonial item, City Council Citation ID 12425, Annapolis High School Surf Rider Student Club.
Surf Riders ready to come forward? Awesome. How you doing? Good?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So I'm going to give you this City Council citation on behalf of the residents of the City of Annapolis. We are pleased to confer upon you the City Council citation in recognition of your exemplary service to the community. Your collective efforts in cleaning up the Annapolis Maritime Museum Park and Elktonia Cars Beach, as well as certifying an ocean-friendly garden at the Maritime Museum, have greatly enhanced our city's natural beauty and environmental health. We recognise Gracine Green for her Surf Rider Student Club. As a group, you have demonstrated remarkable teamwork and commitment to protecting our waterways and inspiring others to join the cause of environmental stewardship. We thank you for your hard work, your vision, and your constant success in making Annapolis a model for environmental action and youth engagement. And here we have our #1 environmental leader on the council, Rob Savage. Do you want to say a few words, Rob?
Yeah, I just want to thank you. Both the properties are in my ward, and I thank you for your leadership and initiative. They worked. She had more volunteers than I could get at my town hall meetings sometimes, but she had people working out there in the rain, which was very impressive. So thank you again, and we'd like to gift these to the club.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. If you want to say a few words, we'd love that.
Thank you so much for recognizing everything that the club does. It's really fun for us to go and do all of our work. I'd love to talk to you guys in the future about hopefully our upcoming bill called Skip the Stuff that tries to remove plastic from like takeout containers and things like that. So,
Count us in. Let me know when you go to Australia surfing, 'cause I can hook you up.
okay, thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda under ceremonial items is ID 12825, citation 100th anniversary of Cecil Memorial United Methodist Church.
Okay, I'm going to head forward with Alderman Finlayson in this presentation, and Alderman Pendell Charles.
Be glad to. I'll now use my teacher voice. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this evening. I'm reading the Annapolis City Council citation. On behalf of the residents of the city of Annapolis, we present the City Council citation in recognition of your 100-year anniversary. Congratulations. Since your founding on July 16, 1925, by Reverend John J. Cecil, Cecil Memorial Church has been a pillar of faith, service, and resilience. From humble beginnings in an old canning house, your congregation has grown through a century of perseverance, generosity, and vision. With support from committed members like Reverend Joseph L. Brown, the church was built and rebuilt, moving from pool rooms to the Little Red Schoolhouse, and the church built and rebuilt, moving from pool rooms to the Little Red School, and eventually laying the cornerstone for your permanent sanctuary in 1963. In 1975, the mortgage was burned and the dream was fulfilled. Your legacy continues to bless the generations of Annapolitans. As you celebrate this historic milestone, the city honors your enduring contributions to faith, education, and community building over the last 100 years. Presented to Cecil Memorial Church this 28th day of July, signed by Mayor Gavin Buckley and all 8 members of the Annapolis City Council. All right.
Yes, she would.
My name is Donna Valls. I was the chairman of our 100th anniversary, and we had a wonderful month. As I said on many occasions, our doors have never been closed. They are still open, and we welcome all to come to Cecil Memorial United Methodist Church. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Reverend Dr. James Gordon, the pastor of Cecil Memorial, and I'm somewhat newly on board, but I stand here, amen, in awe of not only the great service of Donna and the other committee members who are not here. Amen. I thought it was more. I didn't want to leave her. Listen, if you're not in church, listen, when you start calling out names, you're going to get in trouble. Because they at least tell he didn't say nothing about me. You know. So let me do this then. From that wall to that wall, whatever your title, whatever your position, whatever you've done, you've been acknowledged. God bless you. Amen. And so, but I'm just beyond words to have this great opportunity, to even stand here now and have this audience. And to all of you, I want you to know and understand that Cecil is the church of love. I don't care who you are, what you've done, you are welcome in those doors. And so I extend that offer to you, to the entire Cecil family, to the shoulders we now stand on, the giants who have gone on before. We are grateful for this opportunity of acknowledgement. Thank you so much, amen, for the encouragement. And we look forward to not only being a vital part, continue to be a vital part of Annapolis, but also to the whole church community. Is that all right? All right. God bless you. Y'all getting off easy. I was about to preach.
Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is petitions, reports, and communications, beginning with update from the mayor.
So this is one of those good times for me to invoke that Nelson Mandela quote that may your decisions be shaped by your hopes, not your fears. I want to point out that every single person on this city council loves this city just as much as every person out there in this audience. And I know for the last 8 years, they've done everything they can to make this city the best place possible for everybody. So we love that you're all here tonight. We're looking forward to hearing from you. So I'd like to start with some remarks. Tonight marks 5 meetings left this council term and the last meeting before our legislative August break. As we look forward to a change of pace and possibly a few vacation days in the next few weeks, I know that everyone in the council remains focused on the work we have before us and will continue right up until our last meeting in October. This time of year also marks a quieter period for the city events, but one series that is currently underway is our summer pop-up resource tour. These resource fairs are held each Thursday afternoon in different neighborhoods across the city, neighborhoods that look very different to this neighborhood. The goal is for service providers to come out and meet residents where they live. So far, we have visited 4 communities: Robinwood, Bay Ridge Gardens, Eastport Terrace, and Woodside Gardens. At each event, vendors provide information on a wide range of education, housing, health, and other resources available in the city and county. At each event, we also distribute food and gun locks, and we ask residents to complete surveys on their resource needs and concerns as residents. Over the past 4 weeks, we have distributed over 200 sandwiches to hungry kids and residents, over 35 gun locks, received over 140 completed surveys, which will be used to assess how we can improve our services. Thank you to the No Harm Violence Prevention team who coordinate the pop-up series, and thank you to all our partners and vendors who turn out to support our residents. The next resource pop-up will be at Allen Apartments on Centre Street, and the No Harm team will be there in person this Friday to distribute flyers and answer questions. Look out for them to get more information. So please, if any of you can attend, we would love to see you all there on Thursday. As I mentioned, we have a busy slate of legislation before us in the next few months. Tonight, I'd like to speak on one bill that's up for public hearing, 01425, which addresses a range of zoning issues in locations across the city to ensure we are able to deliver on the goals adopted in the Annapolis Ahead 2040 Comprehensive Plan. The legislation covers a number of issues, as well as some specific locations where flexibility for multiple use will help ensure that future development decisions deliver strong outcomes for local communities. One example is on Forest Drive, where we used to have a thriving seafood retailer. 01425 will allow for mixed use in that area to help us address both housing needs and ensure we can attract quality, appropriate businesses that provide economic stimulus, local jobs, and improved amenities. Another example is along Dock Street, where the provision in the bill will expand rooftop use. I want to emphasize that the bill does not add 1 inch to the height limit in this area. All buildings will be required to meet the current height of 28 feet at the cornice and 38 feet at the ridge. What the bill does do is update what utility roof structures are allowed on rooftops and set specific standards and criteria that they will be required to meet. As the staff report says, this will address the practical difficulties in a newly constructing permitted land use type on lots fronting the approved City Dock Park, east of Craig Street, and more specifically, the reality that modern buildings and architectural practices can deliver eco-friendly green roofs and maintain architectural integrity of building facades and minimize noise to protect the pedestrian and neighboring properties. It seems that anytime any kind of change is proposed downtown, no matter how small or sensible in terms of modern building standards, the rumors start and misinformation spreads. So let me repeat, 01425 does not and will not alter the scale of development or zoning height restrictions. It is not expanding height limits. It is about expanding allowable parts of buildings on rooftops, exceptions for elevators, chimneys, antennas, stair towers, vestibules. I've made no secret of my view in this area, and the history has commercially underperformed, with multiple restaurant operations failing at the same location over the past few decades. Zoning that allows for different uses makes sense if we are to revitalize an area. It will help provide better economic activation of the area and will turn and improve public safety, and it will complement the adjacent buildings. So with that, looking forward to tonight's testimony from everybody, and thank you all for being here. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is reports by committees.
Alderman Pindell Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Standing Committee met earlier this month, and the next Public Safety Standing Committee is scheduled for Monday, March the 1st, but I do believe it will probably be canceled. We do not have any legislation currently on the agenda, and also we completed our focus of all the wards earlier this year. I've always said that our public safety teams are great being out on the street and not necessarily sitting here if we don't have legislation to discuss. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Rules and City Government Committee met 3 times this month. 3 times, yes. We addressed O-2025, the sale of the property at 932 Spa Road and 935 Spa Road. And after many hours of discussion, we gave it a favorable recommendation as amended by the committee. We also addressed O-925, expanding waterfront uses in R4, and we gave it a favorable recommendation with amendments also. The next meeting will be held on Friday, September 5th, 1 o'clock here in council chambers. All are invited to attend. Thank you.
You. Alderman Huntley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had an interesting bit of legislative back and forth on the Spending Affordability Commission panel, legislation. We've reconsidered our previous unfavorable recommendation, talked about it some more, postponed it until we have some time to work through some amendments. We also approved our first supplemental appropriation, our first fund transfer of the new fiscal year. The supplemental appropriation was my favorite kind. It was a grant from, I believe this was from the federal government. No, it's from the American Trauma Society, and it's to get stop bleed kits for our fire department. So just the best kind of supplemental appropriation. And I do want to highlight for my colleagues FT 126, which, it says here we recommended unfavorably, but actually we recommended it favorably. Alderwoman O'Neill and I both supported it. Alderwoman Finlayson did not support it. This would transfer an administrative assistant from the city manager's office over to the central services office. I would just ask my colleagues to make sure that we put some thought into when we vote on FT 126 today. Obviously, I support it, but might be worth a little bit of discussion. And we will have our next meeting on September 3rd. The Finance Committee. Did I not say that? Oh. Well, you know, I'm all about the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Alderman Gay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Housing and Human Welfare Committee met on July the 21st. We recommended favorably as amended the 5-year consolidated housing plan. We recommended unfavorably the Annapolis Harbor Lines at 423 Chester Avenue on Back Creek. We discussed in great detail ID 12525 with Woodside Gardens property management, and they've been responsive as well. I thank the Alderwoman for coordinating that. Our next meeting is it September the 10th or the 15th? September the 10th at 6:30 p.m. And we have everything from Planning Commission. So we have 01421, we have 020, and also the Tyler Avenue legislation. So it will be a jam-packed meeting.
Thank you, Alderman Gay. Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Environmental Matters met on July 23rd and 25th. Basically, all I'll say is that we spent, probably about 5.5 hours, something along those lines, talking about 2025. Yeah, on the Spa Road legislation that would sell that property to the Resilience Authority so it can be remediated and then given back to the city. So we have a committee amendment that combines everything that was discussed prior to that point. I'll get into that when the legislation comes up. But we put in. I want to thank my colleagues on the committee. We thought we put in a lot of good work and got a lot of good information. Thank you both. Our next meeting. Well, I don't entirely know when our next meeting will be. We're going to have to reschedule, so it's going to be probably earlier in September. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is comments by the general public.
So during comments by the general public, you may not speak on items which are scheduled for their own separate public hearing. So if you have signed up to speak in the first sheet and you are here to speak on 01425, you will be called up at a separate time. If you are here to speak on 01325, in issuance of general obligation bonds, you'll be called up at a separate time. If you are here to speak on anything else, please come forward. The first person to sign up on the sheet is Julie Gerver.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Julie Garver, and I'm a resident of Ward 8, and I'm volunteer with Ranked Choice Voting Maryland. I'm not able to make comment at the scheduled public comment day on September 8th, so I thought I would share my support for the city's adoption.
And Julie,
of-
just
yes.
if you could just give us an address for the record,
Oh,
please.
sure.
Thank you.
710 Warren Drive,
Thank you so much.
21403. Yeah, so I just wanted to share my support for the city's adoption of RCV for future elections. It's also known as instant runoff elections. I'm confident that more details about ranked choice voting will be shared in committee on September 8th. But at its core, it ensures that candidates must earn the support of a majority of voters rather than a plurality. RCV may be new to Annapolis, but it's been used in many jurisdictions across the US and world. Alaska, Maine, Washington, D.C., Boston, Portland, Oregon, New York City, Ireland, I only got in there, Tacoma Park, Maryland, all use RCV. Charlottesville and Arlington, Virginia both use it. And there are many other towns and cities, as I said, that use RCV. In nearly every instance where voters have been surveyed, they have overwhelmingly positive response to RCV, including their understanding of how the process works and satisfaction with their experience. RCV is easy to understand because we rank things all the time in our day-to-day lives, and it's preferred by voters because the benefits are broad. More choice for voters, better campaigns that focus on issues, and the elimination of the spoiler effect. We recognize the staff report and fiscal reports present some uncertainty with regard to the implementation of this legislation, and RCV Maryland is prepared to work diligently with the city to address these questions over the next couple of months. Thank you for your consideration of this legislation, and we are excited to improve democracy in Annapolis. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Next person signed up to speak, and I'm sure he's here for 01425, is Bill Kardash. Are you here for that 01425, Bill? Okay. Good, because you don't get to come back to speak on that.
No, I could if you wish. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Bill Kardash, 17 South Street. I'm here to speak on 03325, one of my favorite topics, the Market House. The bill and the proposed extension of the lease on the Market House should not be approved for a variety of reasons. One, the leaseholder, which is Newmarket LLC, had been in default on several commitments from the original lease. Whether or not those issues have been cured is anyone's guess. Nothing was ever provided to the public. About 2 years ago, we discovered that Newmarket had not paid the annual required performance rent of 2% beyond the $1.5 million of gross sales. The city may have dropped the ball, but the tenant ignored their obligation. They didn't comply with the lease requirement to align the reporting period to the city's fiscal year. This makes trying to compare the two very difficult. And to this day, the public has never been informed if the tenant has fulfilled the payment of performance rent. About 2 months ago, I suggested to Alderman Huntley that a proper report be provided by the departing Director of Finance, Jody Dickinson, to avoid a replay of the lack of follow-through when Teresa Sutherland left the city and neglected to inform Jody of the lease details. And the need to collect the performance rent. Alderman Huntley said, let's wait until the new Director of Central Services comes on board and we'll get caught up with that. That was about 3 months ago, and to this day, nothing has been provided. The public remains in the dark about the status of the performance rent and the collection of it in general. We do not know the tenant was, we do know the tenant was granted rent abatement during COVID. Rent adjustments were to follow after COVID. Again, we have no idea what was paid and when it resumed. While the tenant provides entertainment on a regular basis, they do not assess or collect the required amusement tax. When I inquired about that, I was told the state is responsible for that, for the collection of the amusement tax. That's true. but the city would be the beneficiary of this revenue source. When the original lease was renewed in June of 23, the lease called for 1 5-year renewal. The city granted 2, taking the lease to June of 2033, of 2033, excuse me. The proposal to extend the lease and an additional 20 years to 2053 is far beyond reasonable. We have a significant planned renovation of City Dock and no idea what the impact might be on the Market House. We shouldn't put the city and the taxpayers in a precarious position and the potential for a lease buyout. The proposal also suggests a reduction in the performance rent from 1.5% to 1%. This was in the staff report, by the way. That's incorrect. The lease calls for 2%, not 1.5%. And to actually reduce it to 1%, frankly, is kind of ludicrous. It's perhaps, actually, I find that kind of generous and wonder if that same generosity could be extended to the homestead tax reduction that we've been canvassing in the city. Lastly, the fact that the lease has been granted to a group that includes the mayor's business partner should be reason enough to vote no. Those of you departing the council, should not want this lease to be part of your legacy of fair treatment for the city's residents and taxpayers. And those of you running for re-election expect to be challenged by the voters and pressed for an explanation why such an unfair and unreasonable lease arrangement that smacks of cronyism should be approved. Thank you.
All right, next up, good job you bought your fan club, Bill, awesome. Next up is Michelle Whitaker.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Michelle Whitaker. My address, 8484 Georgia Avenue, 20910. I just wanted to offer some brief remarks regarding ranked choice voting and the bill that's being introduced today, 03525. I'm not as popular as the other folks who had their own crew, but we do have some folks in the crowd who are supporting ranked choice voting. So we'll be out in more full force for our public hearing, but glad to be here today. In 1923, the U.S. Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis described states as laboratories of democracy to create and test policy. In Maryland, this concept also applies to our chartered municipalities. Cities are at the core of building relationships and confidence in government and are the proving ground for expanding civic participation. On behalf of Ranked Choice Voting Maryland and the hundreds of supporters in Annapolis, we applaud Alderman Harry Huntley and Rob Savage for introducing 03525 today to move the city of Annapolis to ranked choice voting for future elections. To just explain ranked choice voting really quick, ranked choice voting, also known as instant runoff voting, is a method that allows the voter to rank their choices in order of preference. And when the votes are counted, if no candidate has a majority, which is 50% plus 1 of the vote, then an instant runoff occurs and the candidate in last place is eliminated. But voters who rank that candidate as their top choice have their next choice considered. This gives voters the power to really have a voice and express their full choices in an election. There are over 50 jurisdictions using ranked choice voting and 14 million voters who are empowered to use this across the United States. To just take a minute on 3 important things, we heard a little bit about vote splitting, which we've had in our past elections where we've had multiple candidates running and the vote is split among them and no one wins with a majority. This means that voters who supported someone else, there were more of them than the person who was declared the winner. This is not a commentary on any winner, but rather that the way we vote and how we can have split votes among like-minded candidates it leads to strategic voting as well. Lastly, Maryland is ready for this, and we are ready in Annapolis. Maryland's voting equipment is RCV capable, which means that it can produce ranked ballots, scan those ballots, and store ranked ballot data. In addition, the recent bill that was passed in the General Assembly, Bill 322, allows for a collaborative election administration process with the State Board of Elections. And we know that Annapolis has a very strong relationship with the Anne Arundel Board of Elections. You won't be alone in implementing ranked choice voting. The city of Tacoma Park has been using it for 2 decades, and our neighbors, the District of Columbia, as well as those in Virginia, have local initiatives for ranked choice voting as well. Annapolis will be able to tap those local experts as well as national leading experts in election administration to make sure that they have best practice implemented. I look forward to sharing more at the public hearing, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Next up, Laurie Sullivan. Okay, thank you. John Corrin.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. John Corrin, Bicycle Advocates for Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, also known as Bike AAA. It's been brought to my attention recently that many people come down here to ask for things, but very few come back to thank you and to tell you what happened. So thank you, Alderwoman Finlayson, for this suggestion. You passed an ordinance earlier this year that enabled Annapolis Police to donate bikes that have been recovered and unclaimed to a nonprofit. I'm happy to report that we received our first couple dozen bikes. We have already delivered far more bikes than that back into Annapolis. We've delivered bikes to Kawan Moore, also known as Mr. Fix-A-Flat. Annapolis Police helped us deliver bikes to children at the Marshall Learning Center camp at Choir Orders recently. Lieutenant Mann made a request for a bike for somebody in the reentry program. We provided a bike. We provide adult bikes to people in substance recovery for whom transportation is a significant challenge. And so we're very grateful for Alderwoman Pindall Charles bringing the ordinance, Alderman Savage amending it, and good is coming from the community through those actions. Now, what we have to do together next is provide safe places for people to walk and bike. It's a long journey from plan to design to construction to a ribbon cutting. We have got to move quicker. We've got a lot of projects that are somewhere in that life cycle, but we have no shovels in the ground. So I ask you that we all work together to provide more safe places to ride so that people who have no choice but to get around by bike, like our recipients, and others, many in this room who have a choice, will make the choice to leave the car home. I saw Alderman Savage zipping down Compromise Street on a scooter earlier tonight. So let's work together and make this a safer place to walk and bike. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Gwen Kinsella.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. First time here, but I am very concerned and would like to express concern over consecutive utility and refuge rate increases.
Gwen, sorry, just an address. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
27 City Gate Lane.
Thank you so much.
Yep. I'm a resident in Annapolis, and I'm here to express concern over the significant and repeated increases in our water, sewer, and refuge bills over the past 2 years. This year alone, residents are seeing a 12% increase attributed to the watershed restoration fee, which I know is state mandated, a 10% increase in refuge collection fees, and an increase of 4.7% in water and 3% sewer rates. Last year, we faced a 7% watershed increase an 8% refuge hike, and similar jumps in water and sewer rates. While I understand that certain increases, such as standard state-mandated watershed fees, may be outside of the city's control, the compounding effect of these hikes year after year is placing a real burden on working families and fixed-income households. Transparency. There seems to have been limited public outreach about these increases. I have not been able to find them on the city website, and to get my information for tonight, I had to call City Hall. Accountability. I'd like to understand what cost-saving measures have been explored before passing these increases along to residents. I respectfully urge the Council to improve communication with residents regarding rate changes, provide clear justification for future hikes, and explore ways to ease the burden on the community, especially with fees increasing almost 20% in 2 years. We have a lot of people on our street that are on fixed income and are elderly. And my astonishment today, while chatting to them, was that all their bills have increased almost $100. This really isn't acceptable for no transparency communication. I've been a resident here for 17 years, and if I miss communication, we can blame it on the mail, but I had not been able to find any communication on this until I called City Hall today. Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen. So, Katie, you got you signed up here. Are you for 1425 or? Okay, thank you. I got you up here as well. Sven Storm, you here for 1425 or are you here for anything else? Always a pleasure.
I'm drawn to the invocation that remarked about caring and kindness and how we should look out for one another. For 3 years now, I've been coming in front of you, and I quit tonight. This is the last time. I brought to you the condition of our sidewalks. I brought to you the pump system that you've allowed to not be connected. I understand that just recently it was brought up that 117 times in the last year we've had flood conditions downtown. That pump system would have taken care of all but 3. I volunteered to pay for brand new equipment. You know that I have. You've heard me do it. I've agreed to pay for the installation, and yet we're not going to do it. I have with me, and I'd love to, you guys can take one down and pass it around. I recently photographed Whiting Turner, the firm that you hired, as they took a hose and hooked it up to a fire hydrant to wash down their site. In the process of doing this, by the way, when you hook a hydrant, and I do have a background in wastewater and water treatment, we treat our water with chlorine. That's considered illegal discharge to the surface of waters of Maryland. Put chlorine in your fish tank and see how well your fish and your plants live. It's a violation that anybody running a company like that would know. By the way, if you look carefully on that, you will find that not only was Whiting Turner found guilty, so was the city. I think this is kindness and caring, looking out for one another and our environment. Anyway, we were promised things as people that have businesses. Oh, I'm sorry, 123 Prince George Street and 130 Dock Street. We were told that we would be provided air-conditioned restrooms on Craig Street with clear signage to direct people there. This is one of the promises that was made. Never happened. So people continually come into our businesses downtown and harass us, sometimes threaten us with violence because they want to use our toilets. They said, well, we won't be taking up the parking downtown until construction actually begins. Took up the parking a full month before any work was done. We'll see to it that residential parking is enforced to prevent hardship toward one residents. This has never happened. Friday through Sunday, I can't park on my own street. Employees at several market space businesses take up the parking and brag about how they never get citations. We will take steps to promote the dock street businesses and provide signage explaining parking options for the visitors. This hasn't happened. Most of us have experienced a 20% reduction in sales since the reduction in the parking. My sales are down 17.6%. We were told the pump system that worked so well for the first 3 years would finally be made functional, and this hasn't happened. Flooding is worse than it's ever been. I put the barrier in front of my store again yesterday, just from a downpour. That never happened in 1976 when I opened up. You see, now Whiting Turner has stuck membranes in the storm drains, which prevent it from going anywhere. And so we flood. And I send my young people home, and they can't make an income. I want to bring your attention to, and I hope you'll take the time to walk down in front of my ice cream store. I put a wheelchair there. We watch on a daily basis as people become injured due to our sidewalks. Yesterday morning, my little granddaughter, Paloma, and my daughter and I went to breakfast, and she tripped on one of those bricks and went down, despite Grandpa telling her to be careful. You've been made aware of this for years. The wheelchair in front of my store is for emergency use
Thank you,
only.
Sven. That's 3 minutes plus 1 minute. Thank you.
I want to finish by saying I take my walks in Eastport, and I stop to remember some friends that we lost. And on the bottom of that sign, it talks about being able to bring our grievance forward. It does no good when no one listens.
Thank you. Next up, Dan Clements.
Dan Clements, 17 Southgate, Annapolis, Maryland. I'm here on Ordinance 2025, the Spa Road transfer over to the Resilience Authority for the purpose of their cleaning up that property. As the mayor knows, because I told him in January of 2018, that land is contaminated and needs to be fixed. Finally, 7 years later, there may be an approach to that in this bill. The purpose of this bill is to allow the city to transfer the property over to the Resilience Authority so they can apply for a federal grant for $4 million to do rehabilitation on the property. I have worked and read all of the materials. I've worked with Councilman Savage and Arnett and Finlayson and have discussed this and been here at the hearings. I told you a month ago that as this bill was written, it was awful because it was open-ended and didn't say anything. I proposed amendments. There are now amendments that were proposed by Alderman Savage, as well as by the Resilience Authority. Those are in front of you and approved by the committees, and I approve of them and think they do what needs to be done. Unfortunately, right before the hearing started, I was handed another set of amendments, apparently prepared by the mayor, and included in that amendment, my quick reading says that the city agrees to clean up the outside and the top part of the property before any rehabilitation to the land occurs. That may be an appropriate thing to do, but if you pass that and you pass those amendments, not Alderman Savage's amendments, you're writing a blank check because it doesn't say what it will cost. We don't know what the cost will be to clean up the whole property. That depends on the design, but I don't object to trying to get $4 million from the federal government in order to clean up the property. I don't object to that. I don't object to it being done. I don't object to it being turned into public housing and public spaces if that's possible. but I sure object to writing a blank check from the city saying we're going to spend all the money we need to clean up the property before the grant gets done. So I'd suggest that the mayor's amendments that were presented today at the very last minute, after all the hearings, and with all the pressure from your staff, Mr. Mayor, we have to do it tonight because this application must be in by the end of October. You don't throw amendments in that haven't been seen by your aldermen, that haven't been considered by them, and haven't allowed for public comment and a clear reading by people like me. Thank you. I'll be back later. I should end only by saying everything that Mr. Kardash said, as usual, was succinct, excellent, appropriate, and I support them.
Next up, Deborah Undek. Yep. If you want to come forward and speak, if you're on here for 01425, but come forward if you're new, first time, please state your name and address. You picked a great night to come. Yeah.
Deborah Ondek, 318 State Street. I've lived in Eastport about a year, and I love it. It's a beautiful community. So I'm new here to this process, but I plan on becoming an active member of the community. Clearly, so far, in the beginning, I can't remember who spoke about acceptance of other people. I think that's wonderful, but I think there's clearly an issue with transparency and accountability, which I think are also very important. And I'd also like to, I think I have a couple of minutes, turn my additional 2 minutes over to the gentleman back there that spoke, who got cut off, if I could do that.
No, you can't.
No? So that's all. I have concerns, like everybody else, it seems like, about what's going on at Market House. The flooding, obviously, and there's been increased crime, too, which really concerns me. This is an absolutely beautiful community, and I think we're all blessed to be here, and I think we should try and continue to make it greater.
Thank you. And this is the most transparent process you can have, public hearings and public events, and that's what we're doing. Thank you. Okay, anybody else like to come forward and speak? Thank you.
I signed up, but I must have signed up on the wrong form. I'm Mary Ewenson. I am with the United States Yacht Shows. We put on the Annapolis Boat Shows. I'm here with our general manager, Sheila Jones. And many of you will have noticed that our spring and fall leases are on the agenda for first reader tonight, and then it goes on through lots and lots of steps. And I want to thank the council for considering this new lease, which starts in 2031 and goes through 2040. And I'm sure you're thinking, that is so long from now. But for us, we have a really long horizon on the way we plan our shows and infrastructure, and when we have to borrow money for our new plans. And we have been working really hard on the whole city dock construction. We're not in charge of it, but we're trying to figure out how to build our shows, and it changes and changes and changes, as all construction projects do. And so we have had a lot of meetings. We are paying people to be meeting with the construction people and to learn what's happening next, and we adjust our plans and communicating with our exhibitors. So we're really thankful to the city council for considering this new lease. Our last lease was signed, I believe, in 2019. I wasn't in charge, but that went from 21 to 30. And for us to always have, somewhere between 8 to 10 years of leases allows us to plan ahead. So it's now 2025, and we are looking at 2031 through 40. And so we've been working very hard with the staff, city staff. Ashley Leonard has been a trooper, trying to read through the old leases and figure out why things were done, trying to adjust things. It's a little bit of a moving target with the city dock construction. So for us, we're working together with the city to try to figure out how we can ensure we're all on the same team for the next 10 years, but allow flexibility as things change. So I really want to thank the staff, especially Ashley and Jackie and Harbor Master and Fire Marshal. We're all trying to figure out what things are going to look like from 31 to 40 when we don't really know. So it's a hard process, but it's been really nice, I have to say. And so I'm listening to you all speak tonight and thinking, I don't know, we've gotten very lucky here. But as I said, our horizon is very long and we're looking ahead. I want to make sure you all have my email address, which is mary@annapolisboatshows.com, and our telephone number, which is 410-268-8828. If you have questions about our lease, give us a call because we're here. We're lifers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. No. Just first reader. First reader. That's the transparent process. First reader. Hi, Bob. How you doing?
Mayor Buckley. How you doing?
Good.
My name is Bob O'Shea. I'm a resident of Annapolis. I live on Granville Avenue. I'd like to thank Bill Kardash and Dan Clements and Sven for the things that they've said. I guess I would really like to talk about the 3325, and I think the city council should definitely consider what the past administration did to make it so that Mayor Buckley and his partners were able to get the Market House. When Mike Panelides was the mayor, he had an opportunity potentially to extend a lease. He didn't. There was 2 years left on it. He said he did not think it was fair. Unfortunately, life isn't fair, so I'm going to change it to the word right. Mike did not think it was right to extend a lease to individuals. He thought it would be better for the next administration to do it. That administration happened to be Mr. Buckley's administration and many people who are on the council right now, and that has made it so we've extended the lease to where it's at right now with Newmarket. Normal leaseholds, you don't start negotiating 8 years before a lease is done. Mr. Kardash brought up a very good point. There's a lot of things going on in regards to City Dock. We need to consider what is going to potentially happen. The thing that really scares me about this lease is the sublease ordinance that the city has no control over and makes it so that why is this individual wanting to extend a lease, but in case things don't work, I'll do a little backdoor to get out of it if I don't feel comfortable. Is the city of Annapolis good with that? Someone mentioned about writing blank checks. Blank checks are written and they bounce by individuals who are trying to do buildings downtown right now. Please don't have the city. You guys have enough things on your plate that you don't know what the responsibilities are, and you're going to leave these landmines for the next administration. You know what lawsuits we're talking about. I appreciate your time. Thanks. Have a good day.
Hi, my name is Peter Garver. I'm at 710 Warren Drive, and I think I signed up on the wrong list. So sorry. So if you see my name later, you can strike it. I just wanted to speak in support of ranked choice voting. Other experts have spoken in more detailed fashion, but essentially one of the things I like about it is it causes candidates to appeal more to the middle of the spectrum as opposed to the polarized approach we have today in our typical voting. So I hope you will pass this bill. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Bob Harrison. Let's see this one, sorry.
Always waiting on open call.
Hey, Filatetto, Ward 3, Poplar Avenue. So I'm here to speak in support of the Ranked Choice Voting Bill, or RCV bill, being introduced tonight. In a time when record numbers of people don't trust or like and are fleeing from both major parties in record numbers, as shown by the record number of voters registered as independents or unaffiliated, RCV is one of the ways we can start restoring democracy and trust in our government and processes. Our system is set up to always end up with two centrist parties, and both parties have further entrenched themselves and rigged the system to make it difficult for other parties to access debates, and even more importantly, get ballot access, amongst other blockades. This makes it extremely difficult to elect someone outside of the two major parties because of the perceived spoiler effect and other misperceptions. I recognize this isn't as much as so in the local level, which is why it's so important for it to be implemented where partisanship isn't as prevalent. I ask you, do you consider true freedom, choice, and of choice as having only two options? That's something we would say about more authoritarian governments around the world, but that's what we have here in our electoral system. RCV allows people to vote for the candidate they truly feel is best while having concerns of spoiler effect assuaged, making our kind of democracy closer to a real democracy. We all know we have the best government that money can buy at the federal and state level. Right? I'm hoping that we can still claw back our local governments from the clutches of developers and moneyed interests looking to cash in on the money grab now that Annapolis is a highly popular place to live, visit, and recreate, while they have little to no consideration of what the community wants or vested interest in our long-term sustainability. As one of the laboratories of democracy as a local government, I urge you to support this bill and the implementation of RCV to start our community and hopefully our country down the path of rebuilding trust in our democracy from the bottom up and getting us closer to the democracy and self-governance we've been promised. Thank you.
Next up, Bob Harrison.
Hello, I'm Bob Harrison. I live at 11 Silverwood Circle. I'm also a director of operation at the Annapolis Market House. And yeah, I thought I'd come here plenty when we have the public hearing, but I feel I should speak now just to deal with some of the falsehoods I've heard tonight. Number one, Mr. Curtis, when you mentioned the performance rent, I do most of the bookkeeping for the market house, and I wasn't aware of that being part of the lease 3 years ago when it first came up. And I can understand why none of the three owners really brought it up. They lost a lot of money the first few years, and then we had the pandemic. But within 2 weeks after it came out in the Capitol that we hadn't paid that, I worked with Jody Dickerson, and we paid, I don't know, it was somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000, I believe. Last year, by the end of August, we paid, I think, $34,000, $35,000 for the performance rent for city's fiscal year 2024. And then last week, or I guess a couple days ago, I dropped by a check for the performance rent for fiscal year, city fiscal year 2025 for $42,000. So, I apologize. Those first 3 years, again, they didn't think about it because they really didn't make any money. A lot of the money that was paid for those 3 years came from, the fact that we, brought in Rise Up Coffee, and they're part of that, going over 1.5 million. And second of all, I can see where there's not much love for in this room for the person sitting in the mayor's chair right there. Number one, he's not my boss at Annapolis Market House. He cares about it. He's put his heart into making it something that the people of this town can be proud of. You all were around for all these years. What Harvey Blondin did, were you proud of that? Were you proud of it sitting empty for 15 years? Yeah. You know, I've been doing this in this town. You know, I built the basement bar of Ram's Head Tavern. It looks about the same as I built it. It was the original Happy Buzzard.
Hey, sir, could you speak into the mic? I can't hear you.
It was the original Happy Buzzard Saloon, that basement bar where Ram's Head Tavern is. I built that. Yeah, I had the beer license there. Yeah, I did Moimeister's on Main Street, the ice cream parlor. You know, I spent part of the 80s and all of the 90s as general manager of Middleton Tavern and then O'Brien's. Everything. I really haven't, I don't do this for the money. I do it for the people who live in this town. I make my 60 or 70 hours, and this is why I'm so upset about this. You know, it's spent so that you all have a place you can be proud of. You know, a place that you can bring your children, you can bring your parents, you can bring your brothers, you can bring your friends from out of town, and you're all comfortable in it. And that's what the Market House has turned into. Ingrained in staff over the years in this town that, we make this an extension of their living room. And it's always been, I do what I do for my neighbors and the people in this community.
That's 4 minutes, 3 minutes plus an extra minute. Thank you very much, Bob. Thank you.
You ought to come down. In the mornings, 6:30 in the morning, we have the police department there. Remember?
Thank you, Bob, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, can I just remind everybody that we're not supposed to be clapping? We're asking questions. We're doing pretty good on that part, but even the audience too, we need to get through everybody's testimony so people aren't here until 11 at night. I get there's a lot of support. What do they do? Snap a finger or something, but please just try not to disrupt the meeting. It's actually prohibited in the code.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, please.
Well timed. They can't clap for me now. So, last speaker. So, my name is Keith Bouchard, 18 Bryce Row in the county, 21409. I am married to Michelle Bouchard, who's the managing partner at the Market House. I just want to follow up Bob's comments. He is the hardest working guy in Annapolis. Absolutely, his heart's in that building, as is ours. And we've tried to build something that is a good community asset. Great food, great service, good atmosphere. We put a lot of money into the build out internally. We have a lot more to do, and that's the nature of the request that's being put forward. I just want to say something about the comments earlier. I understand Mr. Kardash's concern about the transparency. We've done everything that we needed to do to provide records to the city and to make payments to the city. There was a bit of a hiccup at the beginning, as Bob mentioned. We apologize for that. It was unintentional, but we've made every payment to the city. We're paying about $14,000 a month right now in total cost to the city, including the rent enhancements for the parking, as well as the performance rent. That number's going to go up significantly if we have this pass. I would propose that whatever it takes to be fully transparent in terms of reporting, we're all in. We'd like to be working with the city to make sure that the records are intact and everything's fine, and whatever is necessary is given to the city. So you've got our commitment to do our part in that, or have the city to do that for anyone's record. My email as well is my name, Keith, with an EI, Keith @bouchard.com. So if anybody has a question or comment, feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, would anyone else like to come forward and speak on anything else other than 01425 or 03125? Please come forward.
25.
Are you here to speak on 1425?
Yeah, I'll take it 30 seconds.
Okay, you're going to jump
My
ahead of
name's
some
Frida,
people.
Frida Christie.
I'm
Oh, I
okay.
didn't know that. I asked if we could just go ahead now. But anyway, I apologize for that.
They won't let me let you jump the queue. Sorry, you have
No.
to. I'll put you down.
I didn't know. I thought somebody said it was okay to go up around.
I'll call you up at the end.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
okay. I'm waiting for the punchline on 1425.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward and speak on anything else? Okay, I will declare the public hearing closed on everything else, but 01425 and 03125. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is consent calendar, including informational item ID 12325, the task force study, marine vessel interim reports, and the supplemental appropriations under $50,000.
Are there any objections to consent calendar? Could I entertain a motion to approve it, please? Get a second. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Huntley?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderwoman Kendall Charles?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett? I didn't hear anything.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is business and miscellaneous items, beginning with fund transfer FT 126, General Central Services Department, City Manager, Salaries and Benefits.
Could I get a motion on that, please?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All those, Alderman Savage.
And just a quick question. I mean, it's listed as FT 126. Should that be 25? I know it's the 26 fiscal year, but usually we go by calendar year for the legislation. No.
Alderman Huntley, you have a clarification? Or?
I believe, because I have the same reaction, Alderman
Okay.
Savage, the supplemental appropriations and fund transfers are numbered by fiscal year.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is public hearings, beginning with ordinance 01425, implementation of Annapolis Ahead Comprehensive Plan 2040.
All right. First person signed up to speak
Mr. Mayor.
on 01425, Alderman Gay.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I could. I just, for the FT 126.
We're on they're not up for a public hearing tonight. Yeah.
Well, I know that, but I'm asking, are they hiring the administrative assistant in this fiscal year, or?
Yes.
And it's being just transferred from a general fund? It doesn't say on the.
We just voted on that. Thank you. Okay. First person signed up to speak. Lucky first one on is Zoe Johnson. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. My name is Zoe Johnson. I'm a resident of Ward 2, but this evening I'm here in my official capacity as the Community Planning Liaison Officer at Naval Support Activity Annapolis, address 181 Wainwright Road, Annapolis, Maryland 21402. I want to thank you for the opportunity to comment on Ordinance 1425 that's before you tonight that makes amendments from adding components of Comprehensive Plan 2040 into both the planning and zoning, as well as for plan development, as well as the historic district. Naval Support Activity Annapolis, home of the United States Naval Academy, as you know, abuts Colonial Annapolis Historic District along King George, Hanover, Randall Street, and Prince George Street. Not unlike the city of Annapolis, development on board the installation is guided by an installation development plan, similar to a local comprehensive plan, as well as the National Historic Preservation Act. The Naval Academy is designated a National Historic Landmark, with portions of the upper yard and all of the lower yard designated a National Historic District. Naval Support Activity Annapolis finds that the proposed amendments to the planning and zoning component, specifically the plan development, are compatible with our ability to carry out the installation's mission. We, as a city, share a goal of increasing public safety for both pedestrians and bicycles. So we applaud that the amendment adds the promotion and use of infrastructure such as sidewalks, trails, bikeways, and transit, and promotes physical connections to area waterways, through such things as dedicated routes and recreational enhancements to waterfront for land and potable water access. Regarding the proposed amendments to the Historic District, we see no adverse impacts to the USNA's National Historic District on properties with frontage on Dock Street between Craig and the eastern terminus of Dock Street. Structures with either increased height would remain submissive to the massing of Halsey Fieldhouse, which is a non-contributing building to the USNA Historic District. However, we respectfully request that language be added to the relevant sections of Chapter 2156 Historic District for bulk limits to formally include an NSA Annapolis and design consultations regarding proposed development within that block. To ensure that the USNA ensure in compliance with the United States Naval Academy Historic Landmark, as well as enable Navy to conduct and review analysis of design proposals to ensure operational security and safety of the United States Naval Academy. Thank you for your time tonight as we work together to ensure that NSA Annapolis, the Naval Academy, and the city are better prepared and positioned to protect the military mission both on board and off the installation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, Jim Urban.
Good evening. My name is James Urban. I live at 915 Creek Drive, Annapolis 21403. I'm here not to speak in favor of or against this particular proposal and only offer you some things for your consideration. For the people on the council that don't know me from previous, I was on the Annapolis City Planning Commission for 10 years. And its chair for, I think, 3 years. So I have a lot of experience with that. I'm also a landscape architect in the state of Maryland, although I'm now retired. So actually, I think I'm not legally allowed to say I'm a landscape architect anymore, but I practiced for over 40 years. So I'm going to keep my comments to just 3 points. And the first one, I think, is the most important. I really do not think that this, the project for the spot zoning of the hotel meets the requirements for a single site spot zone. One of the really important requirements is that it can only be used on properties where there has been significant changes to the land use within the zoning area that you have. Currently, the land use includes bars, restaurants, shops, a hotel, I believe at the top of the street still counts there, residences, a park, and a parking lot. As far as I can tell, the only change to the land use is that part of the parking lot is going to become a park. I don't see that as a real change in land use. I think that the land use requirement was talking about all the other things, such as bars and restaurants and shops and hotels and residences. Essentially, there's going to be no change in any of those particular items. So I really ask you to look, as I have, and tell yourself, how has the land use significantly changed in this zoning district? The second item is the issue of height. I take the mayor at his word that the height is not going to change in this district. But I do think that that is a really critical element to the zoning, and so I hope that it is not going to change. The third is an area that I know quite a bit about, and that is the green roof. The problem with this proposal is the green roof is not defined and really needs to be defined. So we need to get some clarity in the proposal for what it is that you're doing. Essentially, green roofs can do water quality benefits, water quantity benefits. They dampen the thermal change within the building. So all of those things are possible with green roofs, but I've always taken the position that in Annapolis, particularly right at the foot of Main Street, we don't really need to worry about runoff volume because it goes directly into tidal water, and therefore it can rain for as long as it's possible to rain, and the water is not going to rise significantly due to a rainstorm. What we do need to worry about is water quality. We're at the bottom of the watershed, and so I hope that that will be made an important thing. And then the third was there some discussion in one of the documents I read about the green roof implying that it would be flat. That is not at all a requirement. Green roofs do quite well on sloped surfaces. Biohabitats, which is arguably the best environmental design firm in the state of Maryland, not the East Coast, has on their office buildings, at their offices, sloped roofs, steeply sloped roofs. You would never imagine that they were functional green roofs, but they are.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you for your service on the commissions.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And as I always do, if you decide to write something about the green roof thing to add in here, I always offer my services pro bono to the city to assist in that if you have any technical questions.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next up, John Aronson.
Good evening. It's nice to be back. John Harrison, 707 Glendon Avenue in Annapolis in Ward 8. If this hearing is going to be anything like the Planning Commission, there's going to be a lot of discussions about spot zoning. To take this particular text amendment and try to contort it into being a spot zoning is just a leap of faith that I can't take. Mr. Urban mentioned the change in the character of the neighborhood. That deals with actual zoning changes from one zone to another, not with zoning text amendments. This property is in the critical area. This property is in this historic district, Height District number 2, and this property has an underlying zone of C2. Once 014 passes, it'll still be in the critical area with the same designation, IDA. It'll still be in Special Height District number 2, and it will still be zoned C2. Spot zoning typically happens when you're actually trying to rezone a piece of property and you have a little spot of orange, where everything else used to be red or something like that. This ordinance relates to accessory appurtenances on a structure in the zone, and the height districts do allow for appurtenances. They just regulate the height. In most areas, it's 30 inches, not necessarily what's being requested in Note 10. And also, if you've read the staff report, which I'm sure you have, this ordinance is called Furthering the Goals of the Comprehensive Plan. If you're furthering the goals of the comprehensive plan through an ordinance, you're not engaged in spot zoning. So I think that, I don't know how you all are going to vote on it. I know you're going to consider what everybody's saying. But if you decide that you don't want this to happen because you've decided that it's spot zoning, that's a cop-out. If you don't like it, if you don't like what might happen, or if you don't like the height, you have to say, this is why we don't like it. We don't like the height. We don't like the project that this would allow. We don't like this. We don't like that. Not just to say, well, it's spot zoning, so we're not going to do it. And I think that you should seriously consider the fact that even though you may hear a lot about spot zoning, in my considerable experience in planning and zoning, I wouldn't consider this spot zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And next up, Lisa Hillman.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Lisa Hillman, 4 Randall Court. I've only been here 57 years. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. My comments are going to be probably a little personal, and I hope that's allowable. But I've known several of these aldermen for a very long time, particularly those who are going off the council. And I want to open by thanking Alderman Finlayson and Alderman Arnett and Alderman Gay for serving. It's tough to serve, so thank you very, very much. But you are the reason I'm up here. You are the sponsors of this bill of 01425. And I have to ask myself, why? Despite the mayor's detailed explanation at the opening of tonight about the height of the buildings that will be part of the new city dock, probably, I still have to question, will there be changes to an ordinance that has protected Annapolis for nearly 50 years? Why would an outgoing alderman on this council jeopardize what makes Annapolis Annapolis? Is that what you want for your legacy? So what I would ask you, no, I would ask you to please, as you're leaving, leave on a high note. Think carefully about how you vote on this ordinance. Don't allow the possible degradation of our historic district be your legacy. And finally, remember, your constituents are counting on you to preserve and protect our town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Laurie Sullivan.
Council members, thank you for having us tonight. My name is Laurie Sullivan, and I live at 25 Wagner Street. And before I begin my remarks, I would just like to share that the sentiments that I am expressing tonight are not my own. They're of my entire neighborhood. I have spoken with many of my neighbors, many of whom are elderly and couldn't be here tonight. And I asked them to read my comments to make sure that I was adequately expressing how they feel too. I hope that you'll understand that it's not personal, in that it's not directed at you as a person, but to us, it feels very personal. When I looked at tonight's City Council agenda, the only theme that came to mind was favors for friends. From the proposed rezoning of the first block of Dock Street to allow an oversized boutique hotel with a rooftop bar, a project residents of Annapolis have not asked for and do not support, to a market house lease that doesn't begin until 2033, but ties up a public asset until 2053, without competitive bidding, without sublease protections, and with the terms that allow a tenant to pocket the difference if the sublease is at a higher rate. This entire meeting sends the message that private interests are being prioritized over the public good. And I don't think that's a message you really want to send, but it is the message that's being received by many of us. And then there's the boat show leases. And I applaud you for sharing your perspective, and I received it. We've been told that those leases need to be signed now so that the planning can begin, but we don't even know the timeline or the impact of City Dock's resiliency construction, the new park, or the developments that are being proposed in the area. And so how can anyone plan around the unknowns? It makes no sense to rush these leases now. Many of us think it would be wiser to wait for the next council when things are a little clearer. You're also proposing to eliminate the requirement that large-scale developments provide additional parking. At the very moment we've reduced parking to build the new park. That's not planning. That's giving away our city piece by piece. I've owned businesses. In fact, I've owned quite a few. And like every responsible business owner, I've had to determine whether my ventures were viable under the laws that existed. At no point did I expect the municipality to rewrite zoning or tailor exceptions just for me. That same principle should apply to Mr. Blonder. If his hotel does not fit within the existing zoning, he should redesign the project or pursue a different one that does. City elections are just around the corner, and these decisions with long-term implications for our public spaces, our infrastructure, and our identity should be made by the next city council and the next mayor and not rushed in the final stretch. Whether you intend to or not, the message this sends to residents is clear. The city council appears more interested in serving special interests than the people it's elected to represent. Finally, I want to address something that Alderman Huntley said in his newsletter yesterday. In trying to explain how many of you feel, he said, contrary to the ridiculous accusations thrown around about corruption, my colleagues sincerely believe that a boutique hotel is a better use of this space than a restaurant. The most compelling argument I've heard is that a land use that has people there all night long will keep our new park much safer. I'm not aware of any ridiculous accusations of corruption, but there has not been one study to support this theory, and the staff reports and other information provided by the city to the public to justify this change make no mention whatsoever of that rationale. It's made up, and frankly, if crime prevention is a concern, then the discussion should be about public safety staffing, resource allocation, and not rezoning to allow a hotel with a rooftop bar for long drinking hours. This is how real leaders address the issue. Our city deserves better, and we are paying attention. Thank you.
Next up, Marcus McDermott, I think. Marley, Marcus. Oh, Katie, I think I got you signed up here, but please come forward.
Thank you, Mayor Buckley. Just briefly, I'd like to echo the concern on ethics and transparency. When folks say that, Mayor Buckley, you said, I'm clear on what I want. Yes, you're very clear on what you want, but you're not clear on why you want it. Because whether it's the staff reports or the justification to save underperforming or maybe one underperforming restaurant just isn't anywhere to be explained. And if you don't like the word spot zoning, try the phrase preferential treatment for special interests, because that's pretty much what it is. And when you look at these staff reports, I'll finish, thank you. When you look at these staff reports and look for the facts, they're not there. You haven't done any due diligence on this. You're just doing it. And that's really sad. And the way this whole agenda has been put together, given the public, really, as I said in my comments, almost the bum's rush, evicting citizens from the process of understanding what's happening. And that's really what the objection is. Reasonable minds can disagree about a hotel. But I don't think anyone can disagree that this process lacks transparency or a justification of what the public interest or benefit is. And you have all failed in explaining that in any information you've provided to the public. And I hope you'll consider that's why you've got so many folks here today. Transparency matters. Facts matter in staff reports. You're going to say, hey, we need to develop this area. We're already spending $100 million developing this area. If businesses are underperforming, maybe it's the way you handled resiliency the last 6 years. I don't know, but I know giving one owner a hotel bar and a rooftop bar so they can compete with Chop Tank and make $20 million a year, because that's the testimony on the Planning Commission. That's the fact. You know, that's really not defining the public interest. So if you can define the public interest, I'd be really willing to hear that. Thank you.
Katie McDermott. Everybody knows Katie. Hey there, how you doing?
So that might have been my bad handwriting that signed up as Marlis McDavitt.
Yes.
So I'm sorry you couldn't read my writing. Would it be all right if I take a short moment here?
Thank you so much. Just state it full name and full address again, and we'll get it all in order. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Marlis Sandvi McDavitt. I live at 202 King George Street. I am here, as I have been before, testifying regarding City Dock hotel proposals. I think I've been here 3, maybe 4 times previously. And on this occasion, I want to quote Nike. I'm still adamantly opposed to any changes or variances in height restrictions or as I've been informed tonight, in amending or expanding rooftop specifications for new construction in the historic district. I'm also opposed to other proposals for variances from the approved code that has been in effect for years and years. And were put there for the express purpose of stopping projects such as this. Residents have been loud and clear that we want our elected government officials to stop hijacking our city dock spaces and the character of historic Annapolis that benefits any given individual or entity. We don't need more development to bring even more tourists to Annapolis. Our city's development goals and resources need to benefit the entire community. We implore you, on this legislation, just say no. Thank you.
Next up, Karen Brown.
Good evening, council members. My name is Karen Timer Brown. I'm the president and CEO of Historic Annapolis, 18 Pinckney Street. Historic Annapolis fully supports the reactivation and investment in City Dock. We fully support protecting downtown Annapolis against flooding, to advance the city's economy, and to safeguard the city's cultural and historic heritage. On behalf of Historic Annapolis, I urge the City Council to amend 01425 to remove the change to the height limits on Dock Street in the heart of the nationally significant, nationally recognized colonial Annapolis Landmark District. And as we have stated before, we do not oppose new uses such as a hotel on Dock Street, provided that it meets code. We do not, however, support this proposed change. Now, there are a number of technical reasons why we strongly advocate against this provision in the ordinance, and that's been spelled out in our written testimony, but I'd like to add 2 important points. First, nowhere in the 2040 comprehensive plan speaks to raising the height limits on property along Dock Street. The comp plan does say in 4 times that a stated goal is to, quote, continue to maintain stringent historic preservation requirements in downtown to protect the city's architectural and city planning heritage, unquote. The comp plan also states multiple times that a goal is to implement the recommendations of the City Dock Action Committee consensus plan. So what are those recommendations? The CDAC plan sets forth 5 guiding principles, one of which states, quote, preserving and enhancing downtown's maritime heritage, character, and view sheds by honoring the existing building/zoning envelope and maritime focus. Nowhere in the CDAC plan speaks to raising height limits for property along Dock Street. So altering or raising the height limits, the allowable projections above the height limits on Dock Street's not in the comp plan, nor is it in the CDAC plan, and it shouldn't be in this ordinance either. So I'm going to close by stating that many of your constituents have reached out to Historic Annapolis asking us why this provision was included in the draft ordinance. They've expressed concerns about a lack of transparency and questioned why this was included, especially considering the lack of support from the Ward 1 alderman. These questions we can't answer. A change of this importance needs to be thoughtfully considered. This is not in the broader public interest, only serves a select few parcels, and opens up the entire district up to arbitrary changes to the long-standing regulations that protect Annapolis's historic character. I respectfully urge you to amend 01425 by removing this provision. Thank you.
Next up is Ron Gunsberger.
Good evening, Ron Gunsberger, 197 Hanover Street, 21410. I come to speak also on the same issue, the height and the possibility of the bar essentially on top of the roof there. If the city wants to bestow a financial benefit on one particular property owner, let that property owner come to the community and to the people most impacted and convince them that it is good for the neighborhood. Let them convince Historic Annapolis it is good for the neighborhood. But an assurance from the dais that, trust me, it's not going to be all those things doesn't really work when that trust account is already overdrawn. That's just a reality. We need and deserve to have some respect shown for the residents of Ward 1 and to the people most impacted by this. Ward 1 is the economic engine that brings the tourists to this town. Ward 1 makes a difference, and we need to protect it for that special character that we have. We have an election coming up where the future of City Dock itself is an oft-discussed issue. We have surprises that pop up from time to time in the agenda, the appearing and disappearing marina. We have other things that occur. And the reality is the future of this, including the funding for this, which, having torn down the Dockmasters building, as ugly as it was, but functional without having the money in hand, raises one question after another about how we've approached everything down at City Dock. And we need, at this point, to show some respect for the voters. It's an issue in this campaign. It's an issue for being discussed by all the candidates, for example, in Ward 1 and in other races. Let the voters have a say rather than having this rush through to benefit one owner in the waning days of this council. Thank you.
All right, Dan, come on up again.
Mr. Mayor.
I know I signed up.
Just
Yep, I got you. Yep.
Very, very quick point of clarity. Yes, the City Dock project is in Ward 1, and that is the economic engine of our town, but City Dock is bigger than Ward 1. And so just to correct that comment there, that is public facilities for all 8 wards, not just Ward 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Gay. Thank you, Dan.
My name is Dan Clements. I live at 17 Southgate Avenue, 21401. I remind you, I am an attorney. I've been a member of the bar for 53 years, and I've been involved in writing dozens and dozens of pieces of legislation before the state legislature that have passed. I point that out because there's a simple issue with this legislation. It violates the Maryland Constitution as written. The Maryland Constitution says the General Assembly shall pass no local or special laws. The courts have clarified that to include counties and municipalities. You may not pass special laws. Everything I have heard, and I watched the Planning Commission hearing where the architect and partner of the proposed hotel spoke. Everything I've heard for years about this property is it is designed for the sole purpose of putting a hotel there. The sole purpose. And as written, this says Dock Street, but it only includes the 4 properties on Dock Street. Because it only includes those, 2 of which are owned by the city, this becomes special legislation on behalf of the people who are trying to build this property and build a hotel there. And despite what you say, Mr. Mayor, as I read it, it raises the height limits, maybe for limited purposes, but as we've heard, the intention is to put a bar up there and a restaurant up there, so they want to have the elevator so people can get up there. The state of Maryland Court of what used to be Special Appeals, it's now the Appellate Court, has ruled as recently as 2022 on a case almost identical to this in Howard County. What they found was a bill that was passed by the council to help the Glenelg Country School in changing the land and zoning on their land, violated the special interest law. And it violated the special interest, although the law said it applies to all private schools in the county. The court found that to be a pretext. That's what you have here. You have a pretext when you include a couple of other properties. The court is very clear. Whether the underlying purpose of the enactment was actually intended to benefit or burden a particular member or members of a class instead of the entire class. You're not changing this for all of Dock Street, only where the hotel is going to be, and only for 2 other places, including Sophie's. Sophie has no interest in putting up an antenna. This is not designed to help Sophie. It's designed to build the hotel. It's a special interest legislation. Whether the particular individuals or entities are identified in the statute, that doesn't matter, and they weren't identified in the statute in Howard County. It doesn't matter because it's very obvious that everything that you have put forward before, every discussion about this only relates to the hotel. This is special legislation relating to the hotel. I came here as a lawyer to explain that if you pass this, you were violating the Constitution. I also came here, the state constitution and the court opinions. I also came here to tell you that I'm here to create a record. You are now on notice because I'm here telling you this. So when you get sued, if you pass this, they're going to look at this testimony and say, wait a minute, a lawyer, and I still know most of the members of the Court of Appeals of Maryland, we're now the Supreme Court, who we know came and told you you can't do this without creating a constitutional violation. So this is now on the record. I'm on the record. You all have heard it. I know it doesn't get decided tonight, and I will continue to follow this, but this is notice to you. So the height issue, you are changing it to put a bar up there for one owner. It's not for everybody on Dock Street. It's not for everybody on Main Street. If you change this for everybody in Historic, that would be acceptable. But as it is, you're going to lose your court case.
Thank you,
And
Dan.
I'm telling you that right now.
Thank you for your opinion. There's still time. Anybody want to come forward and speak on 01425?
Hello again.
Hello, how you doing?
All right. I don't know if I can outdo that last one. I'm still
full name and address again for
still
the second.
Phil Ateto on
Thanks,
Poplar
Phil.
Ave in Ward 3. I mean, to be honest, I don't know all the details of this bill, but I feel like I know its smell. And it smells like another giveaway to wealthy developers and interests in pursuit of more tax revenue at best. I'm going to withhold judgment until I see and learn more, but I also detect a faint swamp odor, like this might be one last gift before some of you leave office. The swamp smell reminds me of DC, where I spend a lot of time, like the revolving doors where elected officials and appointees do the biddings of corporations and wealthy people and are promised a cushy job or other favors in the peaks when they leave office. Annapolis is a quaint historic town and kind of quirky, which is what I love and sometimes am frustrated by. But if we have a bunch of modern hotels and only chain stores downtown, we will lose a part of the identity of this community. And that's the direction I've watched the downtown be headed for years now, if not decades. And we'll just be another generic American tourist town. Contrary to conventional wisdom, development and upzoning does not necessarily equal progress. I join others in urging the council to wait until after elections so this can be further discussed and allow people to let candidate stances weigh in on this. Thank you.
What's your next, Craig? How you doing?
Doing well.
Good.
Sore. My name is Craig Harrison, 264 King George Street, and I'm part of the WARA board. I have been for 15 years, and just recently we sent out a survey to everybody who's on our membership and also people who are affiliated with us. And we presented this entire situation to them, and the votes came back. We had 88% of the people who live in Ward 1 are against this proposition, and 14 people were in favor of it. And I just thought, after listening to Lisa and other people and all the other Ward 1 people that I see in here, it would be appropriate to point that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward and speak?
My name is Ann Widener, and I have a business on Maryland Avenue, better known as the Rodney Dangerfield of downtown Annapolis. But we have had so much construction, both around the state capitol and buildings on the circle, that I can't even imagine adding more to downtown at this point. I think we've lost focus. I'm open 6 days a week now, and I talk to a lot of people. Mostly about why they come to Annapolis, and it is because of the historic character and the quaintness of this vicinity. I think we have to ask ourselves, and I do ask myself this every day, as I hear people trying to negotiate their parking meters and trying to figure out what they can do and what they cannot. I think that holds mayors some of the responsibility for what you're seeing on a lack of shops and businesses at the City Dock area. I know that if I look out my studio onto Maryland Avenue, most of the people who are parked there have ladders on their trucks. I don't serve people who have ladders. I have no disregard for them, but they are not the people that are coming into my business. And they also manage to not garnish a ticket, being there all day long. So for whatever is going to evolve for tonight, the fact is there are many of us who've been downtown for a long time and are feeling the pains of all the construction that's going on and the disassembled look at what we have now at City Dock. And I just have sort of one big question, which is going to be rhetorical since you don't respond to questions. Where are you going to put those people who go to the hotel and sit at the bar? I mean, you can say they're going to go to Hillman, but most people like to get close to where they're going to be. I think losing the spaces, I've always been against, but we're going to have another park. And I don't think people come to Annapolis to play pickleball, tennis, shuffleboard, and all the other amenities that seem to be what we're offering at this current day. So just from a business perspective, we're up to here with construction. We're up to here with workers who sit in their cars and have lunch, nice people, I'm sure, but they're not helping us to meet our bottom line and stay here for the future. Thank you.
Going once, going twice. Anybody else? Oh. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council members. I just wanted to mention a few things about the ordinance.
But Chris, you'll have, if you're going to do it from
That
there,
are relevant.
address. Yeah.
Chris Jakubiak, Planning and Zoning Director, 145 Gorman. It's important to point out that there is an underlying public purpose associated with this legislation, and the public purpose is to promote the reinvestment of buildings that are aligned with the public purpose of building City Dock. These ordinance changes throughout 1425 address obstacles that have slowed the reinvestment in real estate throughout the city. They've done that in a way that seeks to make minor changes and to bring about redevelopment. None of these changes throughout the code are transformative or substantially different from the underlying zoning that's in the code. Quite targeted, actually. I had to address some of these standards relative to the Howard County versus McLean case that Mr. Kardash mentioned. There's truly a public purpose here. Not only that, this site that would be affected by this zoning change affects 7 separate properties, 4 of which are owned by separate private entities. So this is not targeted to one specific beneficiary as the Howard County case was. That was a case that was substantially different than the case that we're addressing today. And it's not unusual for jurisdictions in Maryland to target parts of zoning districts for treatment based on the unique opportunities and threats that persist. You can imagine an appurtenance or a accessory structure on top of a building in this particular area from Craig Street to the water being totally dwarfed by what's right behind it. the field house. It's well over 70 feet. There's nothing that can compete with that. It's any type of structure that would be built on top of that, if it's an elevator shaft or a green roof, a pavilion, or a facility that accommodates the AC units so they don't have to be set on the outside of the building. We call those the utility warehouses, facilities. All of those would be blend in actually quite nicely and not dominate the street line. The other thing to point out is that there's nothing arbitrary about this. And this has a reasonable basis in implementing the comprehensive plan and promoting the revitalization of City Dock and the properties that front on City Dock. That is truly a public purpose. So the 6 standards that are typically associated with establishing whether a special law has been manifested simply don't apply in this particular case. And I would imagine that the City Council would feel quite comfortable adopting a set of zoning changes like this, or in this particular location or elsewhere. By the way, 1425 deals with a lot of other things that are quite important to the city, and we look forward as a staff in the Planning and Zoning Department working with the standing committees to further these detailed discussions and put more information on the record.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you. Alderman Pendell Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hadn't planned on saying anything this evening, but I want to bring one thing to everyone's attention in this room. No one in this room has the memories that I have as a child, coming down to City Dock with my mom, shopping on Saturdays, and I gave this testimony at the Planning Commission. And what troubles me most is when I hear people who live in Annapolis who don't come downtown anymore. There's a couple that's extremely well known in our city who share with me their real sadness when they sat downtown one day for 4 hours and didn't recognize a soul that they knew. That's disheartening. My mother and I had some beautiful memories here. No one else in this room has seen what I saw as a child 6 decades ago, when we would come down and shop and see people that we knew from church or from parole or from Eastport. And it was a very heartwarming situation. My aunt worked at a certain store. People rode the buses, what we called back then the Arundel bus. And what troubles me here today is that we can't seem to get to the point of seeing those same memories for other people and sharing them with our children, with our neighbors. I want everybody to come downtown again. And I'm not saying this is the panacea that we've proposed here, that's been proposed, but I will say that the historic part of this is not only history in buildings, it's history with people. And we want the people to be proud of this. And I just hear too many times that people don't see anything down here that resonates with them. And for me, that's really sad. And so I just implore everyone here and to spread it to your neighbors. What can we do to make this a historic town? Yes, and to continue to be that way. But history within the people themselves, to see what really can be done downtown to make everybody welcomed in a place that we all love. Thank you.
So I declare the public hearing on 01425 closed. I'd like to accept into the record memorandum and recommendations from the Planning Commission dated June 5th, 2025. Thank you, everybody, for your testimony. Alderman Gay.
Thank you. Just really quick, I would also encourage people to go look up from 2018. Historic Annapolis did an 86-page or 87-page report in partnership with the city of Annapolis, and the city partly paid for it and some other organizations paid for it, where they give contrary opinions on what they shared tonight. They speak in support of the boutique hotel. That's actually addressed specifically in this. And so many other helpful things as it relates to the City Dock project. It's called What's Your View? And it was done by Heritage Consulting with Historic Annapolis. And so check it out.
Thank you, Alderman Gay. Thank you. Okay, Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Next item for public hearing, Mr. Mayor, is 03125, issuance of general obligation bonds and bond anticipation notes.
All right, this is a good one. It's about money, bonds. Come on, someone must want to come and speak up on this. I don't have anyone signed up to speak now. Anybody like to come forward on 03125? All right, I'm going to dismiss you all then. Thank you. Going once, going twice. I declare the public hearing on 03125 closed. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative action on the first reader, beginning with ordinance 03225, lease of city property, fall 2025 and spring 2026 boat shows.
Could I get a motion to adopt O-30?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? We will refer so the public can be part of the process. 03225 to Economic Matters Committee, Environmental Matters Committee, and the Finance Committee. Thank you so much. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is ordinance 03325, lease of city property, Market House.
Could I get a motion on 03325?
So moved.
Second.
And all those in favour, please say aye on first reader.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We will refer that to the Finance Committee, the Economic Matters Committee, and Rules of City Government Committee for you to do what you want with. Thank you so much. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is ordinance 03425, FY 2026 changes in exempt service job classification.
Can I get a motion on 03425?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer that to Rules of City Government Committee, please. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is ordinance 03525, ranked choice voting in Annapolis city elections.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt 03525 on first reader?
Proudly moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye.
Abstain.
Opposed? Thank you. Let's refer 03525 to Rules in City Government Committee and the Board of Supervisors of Election. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is... Uh-oh. Begging your indulgence. Yeah.
A little printing error here. If you could just bear with us for a second.
I must have missed.
Next item on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, is 03625, lease of city property 2031 to 2036 spring boat shows.
So moved.
Second.
You?
Just first reader.
Okay. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Yes. It should go to same as the other rules of city government, finance.
Yes, yeah.
Finance, economic matters, and rules of city government.
Get that, Regina? Yeah.
Finance,
Thank you.
economic, and rules.
They did.
Okay. We'll send it to Rules of City Government. Yep. Thank you. Okay. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative actions on second reader, beginning with 0925, expanding waterfront uses in R4 general residence zoning districts.
Okay. Could I get a motion on 0925?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Their motion carry the amendments together?
So I have two amendments here. I have a Savage amendment and a Arnett amendment.
Wait, you see, are you on 020?
No, we're on
09-25.
Oh,
They seem small, like small amendments, maybe carry them together.
I wouldn't mind some clarity, so we could.
What's that?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind some clarity, so we could just go one at a time and then we'll vote together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alderman Savage, you want to move that amendment and explain?
I move Amendment 1. And let's-
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Amendment 1, I'm not going to move forward with, sorry. Can I withdraw that motion?
Can we withdraw that? Without?
it wasn't voted through.
It's superseded by my subsequent amendment.
Okay, you've got an amendment number 3?
Yes.
Okay, amendment number 2, Alderman Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose of this
You
legislation
just want to move
is-
that and we'll get a second on it?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
So going back to the legislation itself, the purpose of the legislation is to reflect the fact that there are quite a few maritime activities that are normally occurring in the maritime zones that are actually also occurring in the R4 zone. And so this legislation proposes changes to the use tables that reflect all of those items. The original legislation only centered on boat rentals and charters. It didn't focus on all the other things. So my amendment it adds in all of the other things that happen in the R4 district. Their boat services, boat storage in the water, boat storage on land, and boat transportation. The boat services, boat storage in the water, and boat transportation, largely the water taxis, are permitted use. The boat storage on land is permitted subject to standards, and there is a portion of the legislation that speaks to the standards in Title 2164, a new section 125. I believe that Alderman Savage has an amendment which, as co-sponsors, I subscribe to, that limits the on-land use to storage for paddlecraft, not for boats on jack stands and so forth. So I would urge the committee to support the Arnett amendment.
Okay, we'll take a vote on it. Thank you. And then we'll go to Alderman Savage's amendment number 3. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Alderman Savage.
I don't have yours.
Thank you. I would like to move Amendment 3.
We don't have that in.
Do you have that somewhere for us, Alderman Savage?
It's in Legistar.
No? No. Yeah, I see it.
It's in Legistar. I don't,
Can you see it, Alderman Huntley?
Could you tell us what it is?
well, do you want me to walk you through? It's
If
not
you could walk us through, that'd be great. Yeah.
It's not that complicated. What it does is just, so like the Alderman Arnett has said, and it does consider it a friendly amendment. Under the section, the table, the same table you're looking at this is boat storage in water. So I just proposed to add and paddlecraft so they can store both boats and paddlecraft
on land.
Well, this one's in the water as well. Because we left out paddlecraft in case they want to keep,
yes, right.
canoes or boats while they rent them out for the day. And then on the next page, it remove for boat storage on land. It just strikes boat and puts paddlecraft because, again, these are going to be residential neighborhoods. I don't think we want to start allowing large boats to be stored on the land. The intention was just for smaller paddlecraft to be stored on these properties. And then the last thing it does is just adjusts the associated language in some of the proposed code to make those changes. And then, sorry, one other thing, it includes a footnote that just emphasizes that approvals are subject to the port ordinance, just emphasizing that point.
Thank you. We got a second on that? Right.
Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
I think there
Right.
was a second.
Alderman Gay?
Motion. Yeah. Question. Who drafted the definition of paddlecraft? And I'm curious if it also includes like the paddle bikes, etc. There's like solar controlled vehicles that can be used, small storage vehicles. I don't know if it's eliminating the use of those because it just says human power.
We did not consider that. Paddlecraft is defined as an amendment to Title 2174 or 72, where definitions are included. In it, paddlecraft is generically meant to be things that are physically powered by people power using oars. I think that would include a pedal bicycle, but I'm not sure it would include solar power.
That's good because that's how I'm planning on getting out to my big dinghy next year. Alderman Savage?
I think it does include that, Alderman Gay, because it says it refers to any type of water vessel that's propelled or steered by human power, where the primary means of propulsion is a single or double-bladed paddle without reliance on motors. But it also says, maybe not. It says or other mechanical devices, but
so maybe just strike or other mechanical devices.
It's a paddle blade. It would count.
I think we could just put it including perhaps after power. So say any type of water vessel that's propelled or steered by human power, including where the primary means. So including, I think, may allow us some flexibility.
Yes.
May.
If Cynthia writes it in, it should be fine.
Okay, so could we make that you want to make that a friendly amendment to the?
Cynthia's going to write it in, and it'll be
that's
covered.
fine.
Yep.
And I appreciate that. I'm just looking like paddlecraft that are not included in this definition include things like this Lift X, that like the surfboard where the people stand in it hovers through. So there's several that are just not included in that definition. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Could I get a motion on the legislation as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt 019-25 on third reader?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Wait, where's all the applause?
This is
Mayor Buckley.
Aye.
Alderman Huntley.
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Nay.
Alderwoman Findell Charles.
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Gay.
Aye.
Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett.
Aye.
Ordinance.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. The next item on the agenda is 02025. It's been added, Spa Road Sale 932, 935 Spa Road Lot 1 as amended.
I didn't have it. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, could I get a motion on 02025, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. First amendment is Alderman Savage and then someone might have to come up and explain.
Yep.
Well, I think we're going to need some discussion first. So like I said earlier, may
I might bring up the Resilience of Finance Authority
That's
to
fine.
the table if you guys could come up. You could come up, Matt. Thank you.
It's not the Savage amendment.
Yeah. So is this amendment number one? Are you moving this, Alderman Savage?
Yeah, well, I'd like some general discussion first.
Okay.
So for some background, like I said earlier, we did spend a considerable amount of time, 5-6 hours, I think, on this as a committee. What you have before us are joint amendments that came out of the committee. And I say joint because they took Resilience Authority, did propose some amendments through Alderman Arnett, and we did include all of their amendments. And then I had some amendments, and there were, I think, 2 or 3 of mine that we carried over into the joint amendment list. And there's one. Yeah, so that's kind of the background. We received a presentation on the Phase 2 environmental assessment, had an extensive dialogue with that consultant, spoke with the Resilience Authority at length, and also with the city attorney. I want to thank Ms. Leonard for her valuable testimony on this. So that's reflected in Amendment 1. So I would at this time, I guess, I'd like to move Amendment 1, but there is some more discussion on that too.
Second.
You guys have worked hard to consolidate all those things on Amendment 1.
Yeah.
Right? I want to thank the hard work that you've all put in your committees. I know you spent a long, long time on this. Thank you.
Yeah, the only issue is, well, first of all, there's one correction on it, which is if you turn to page 5, the second whereas is not.
Point of information, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry. So there are 2 papers before us. One says Amendment 2, one says Amendment 1 on behalf of the environmental. They look almost identical.
Yeah.
And so are we carrying them in tandem with the slight changes, or
just one for
Just
now?
Amendment 1.
So you just okay.
Yeah, and I'll explain the difference between the two. But again, there's one correction: unstrike the second whereas at the top of page 5.
We don't have that.
Well, look at your Amendment 1.
Okay.
Top of page 5, the second whereas, that's stricken.
Yes.
This was not supposed to be stricken. We did not discuss that in committee, so it was just a drafting error. All this does is state that how the Resilience Authority was established. Nothing controversial there. All right, and so
I'm just trying to. It only says here that the only committee addition is on page 6, and it's line 8. So the only difference from your amendment and Gavin's, the mayor's amendment, is page 6. Am I reading this correctly? Or?
No, I'll get to that. The mayor's amendment adds a number of additional things. It doesn't really undo anything that the committee did. And we can get to those. So, but if you look on page 5, it just adds a number of whereases, and these came from the Resilience Authority, and it just establishes background.
Yeah. So how did that
And
get
then
strict?
a number, and sorry, and then on flip over to page 6. There is one additional language to that whereas at the top in blue. And this just emphasizes that the purpose of obtaining grants is to fund the remediation on the property. And then if anybody needs me to slow down, let me know. If you look at the rest of the hereby resolves on page 6, we add 6, 7, 8, and 9 in blue and green. And again, these are the heart of the resolution. Ordinance. And number 6 just states that Resilience Authority is going to apply for the grant for the purpose of remediation. Number 7 just states if it's successful in obtaining the grant money, that they're going to make best efforts to complete it. to the satisfaction of the grantor. Number 8, which is the one we added, addresses some of the testimony we heard from the Heritage Commission about this being a historic farm. And I believe he said slave quarters. And so that in mind, the committee wanted to include this. That just simply says we're going to coordinate with us, and the Resilience Authority are going to coordinate with the Heritage Commission and the city to secure any council-required archaeological consulting. So this allows us to, in the future, if we determine it's needed, to, in coordination with the commission, to allocate some funding to go towards that. So we wanted to include this to kind of acknowledge that commission's hard work on the research. Number 9 just is the first reverter clause, which came from the law office, basically saying that it's going to revert to the city once the EPA approves and confirms that the remediation was completed. Number 10 is if states that if the authority is unable to obtain the grant funding, if we're denied the grant, it's going to come back to the city. And the last one, number 11, is states that the city is responsible for all the costs as far as, I think this mostly has to do with some of the legal costs as far as getting the property to come back to the city. And the last addition, so we do have 2 hereby resolved section. This would be letter C. And this says, prior to any submission of development plans to the city's Department of Planning and Zoning, that there needs to be a work session held with the council so we can seek concurrence with the development plan, and that we would pass a resolution in support. And again, the idea with this is the property is going to be, if this happens, the property is going to be owned by the Resilience Authority concurrently with the development process, because the remediation happens with the development process. And so we felt like it was important to include this so that, to ensure, and we trust the Resilience Authority, but we just want to make sure we have that written down, that the council will be consulted about the development plans. So that concludes at least the committee's additions.
Thank you. Alderman Pindell-Charles and Alderman Gay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Fleming, good evening. Do you have anything to add or explain or detract, or any comments to what we're looking at tonight?
No, as I think mentioned in the beginning, Alderman Arnett and Alderwoman Finlayson, there you are, and Alderman Savage, they, this timeline got accelerated on them. You guys were, this is a project you guys have been working on for a while now, laying out the vision, the goal of cleaning up this site. You established us, Mayor Buckley and this council and in the county, established us to help manage projects, to go after funding that are outside of the city or the county, normal operating out of their bounds. This grant provides that opportunity. So there was a time frame that was put on to us by the federal government, where they were looking at making changes to this funding source, that this funding source, either funding levels or the actual funding program, this may be the last year for it. And then we found out about that sometime this spring, and then we got it approved early summer. So your timeline here really got accelerated. So the work that these guys did to go through some pretty dense material to kind of work with us to improve the ordinance to ensure that Resilience Authority, our role is specifically to this grant, helping the city obtain the funds, and then focusing on the remediation. And that's really the focus here. And I think Alderman Savage did a nice job laying out what was discussed in that meeting. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Alderman Gay.
Thank you. I have 2 quick questions. My first question is for Ms. Roeder. Are pages 1 through 4 on these the exact same, or no? Okay. So I think what's confusing me about your amendment is that if we pass 1, does anything in 2 supersede that? Okay. Okay. All right. My second question then. Does this address my concern from the Housing and Human Welfare the other day when I mentioned that the council had passed 2 resolutions expressing intent for this site to be, affordable housing of some kind. I see in section 2 on page 7, it says, prior to any submission of development plans to the City Department of Planning and Zoning regarding development and or remediation of these properties, a work session shall be held with the council in concurrence with the development plan sought from the City Council via resolution. Is that basically saying that, once they get through with the remediation and before the developer can make any decisions, they have to refer back to the 2 resolutions that we've passed? And if so, can we change or amend it from saying City Council via resolution and name the 2 resolutions?
Councilman Savage?
Well, the intention of that is for future resolutions because we don't yet know what the actual development proposal is going to be. So when they do the remediation proposals and plans, they have to make a certain amount of assumptions about our intended use. And so they are already using the resolutions we've passed to establish that use, but they need to have some amount of flexibility because one of the things they are doing, at least for some of the property, they're going to be looking at the most intense use as far as residential. Residential is the most restrictive, right? So the application to MDE makes those assumptions that they just say, look, we're going to use both sides for residential, even though that still might not be the case, right? As we get further along, we might use part of it for some city use, city offices or hack offices. But when they plan for using both of them as residential, the most aggressive use, basically they're starting high and they can go down lower if we decide. Like if we decide to put a office building or a transit building, then the remediation is going to be a little less, right? And that can be worked in, but they need to start. And so for the EPA grant, I believe they are also including some assumptions. However, I believe they're being a little more clear that half the property is going to be residential, the other half is going to have some city use component to it, right? And that is reflective of what we put in the resolution, that half's affordable housing and half's potential city use.
Okay, I thought the staff, because this is obviously physical, so the staff report I don't have on the agenda here, but I thought that was mentioned, or the 2 resolutions by name were mentioned in the staff report. And just for clarity again here, because I think that's obviously this probably will pass with or without my vote, but for me to support it, I want to be comfortable in knowing that it will be what we intended for it to be. And so what you've just stated, so does the Resilience Authority have the power to maybe change halfway through and say this is becoming too expensive a project, let's only remediate so that this can only be office space as opposed to housing or residential and commercial?
Well, that's why we included a lot of the text that we did in here, is to ensure that there's continued cooperation between city and the Resilience Authority, but also why we included that requirement for the work session. And so it's prior to any submission of development plans, they need to come back to council, make sure what is getting submitted meets our intention, right? Including what we already passed. Because even though it's going to be a new council, those resolutions will still be binding on the future council unless they supersede them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's, and I think the Resilience Authority might want to speak to their intention as far as how to facilitate future development. Because again, it happens at the same time as remediation, so it's all tied together.
Yeah, we're not the developers of this property. We've been brought in to help secure these funds for remediation. There's a variety of different ways that gets, as we put together this grant application that's considered remediation, whether it's soil amendments, as part of, capping can be done, as well as the development can be part of the whole remediation package that gets presented. So as we work together on this application and we work with, city staff, we work with the city council on developing that grant application and moving forward, the various aspects of, this property could be developed. We'll work with the proposed developer on the specific remediation components. But we're not the developer of this site. We'll do remediation for what's consistent. I think what we want to be consistent with this grant is that what's in the plans, the city's plans for this site, we need to be consistent with that. We want to show that there's an intended use for this site once it's completed.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
And just a couple other clarifications, just so everybody's aware, if we do get the grant, there is a 4-year requirement to basically complete the grant requirements. And so we will have to remediate those properties from today, about 5 years from today, right? Because it's going to be awarded if we get it in about a year. So we will have to complete some kind of work within 5 years if we want to maintain that grant funding. So we're going to have to get moving on some portions of the development proposal. So a couple other things. The timing is crucial because the grant application, I think it opens up soon, but I think it expires closes in November. And so the plan is, I believe, to get the application submitted in October. But to do that, we also have to get some of the deeds and subdivisions worked out prior to submission. And the law office was adamant that they need to have a solid 4 to 6 weeks to get that done, which is why we rushed around to get this completed when we did. And I'll also point out that even Mr. Clements agrees that with the amendments.
Sure, he does. Alderman Huntley.
Stop me if this isn't the right time to jump in on this, but I did, because you just mentioned Mr. Clements and he's been very helpful on this. He brought up this point today about the language of city shall be responsible for undertaking or funding such preparatory actions as are necessary.
That's not this amendment.
No, it is.
Okay, thank you. You stopped me because I was in the wrong place.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
So I did want to reiterate what Mr. Fleming said. This has been an incredibly tough situation for both the Rules Committee and the Environmental Matters Committee. And it felt like we were getting an awful lot of stuff at the last minute. But it turns out that's because EPA themselves and other entities very recently changed the rules. And we do have this concern, I hope we're going to get under the wire, to get the money. We cannot do anything with this property unless we remediate it. And fortunately, we have the Resiliency Authority. We had the foresight to partner with the county, and we can get this remediation. We can't do it ourselves. We're not eligible. We would have to burden the taxpayers with tax. So this has been Herculean effort, unlike any I've experienced in my almost 19 years on the council now. But I think we have worked very hard together with the Resiliency Authority and the Office of Law and the Public Works staff to come up with something that really does protect us, but also makes it our best chance to get this remediation done. So I hope the council at large will support Amendment 1.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson and Alderman Pendle Charles.
Yeah, just briefly, I want to reiterate the fact that we try to keep CNI and remediation separate. This legislation is about remediation. And when we heard, for example, from Ms. Evans, she gave us a wonderful proposal on what could be, but that only confused matter. So we had to kind of pull it back in and say, okay, let's just keep the focus on whatever it takes to remediate this program or this property. And it is with the Resilience Authority's ability to get the grant funding that would allow that. So that this legislation is all about the remediation, not CNI and what could possibly be. Thank you.
Alderman Pendle-Charles and Alderman Gay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, I don't want to leave anyone out of the conversation. City manager, deputy city manager, is there anything you'd like to weigh in on regarding this resolution?
Deputy City Manager Jackie Gild. No, I think that Mr. Fleming and Mr. Savage, Alderman Savage, have covered everything very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Gay.
Thank you. Just quickly, I do think that they have a lot to do with one another because this has not always been, the vision has not always been to have affordable housing there. Let's not forget, Bozzuto was about to put $800,000 townhouses there at one point. And so things could change very quickly where this could be remediated and they're like, oh, wait, we got the remediation is done. This is a prime opportunity to build. And it could go from affordable housing to, market rate $900,000, $850,000 townhouses. That said, there's also been discussion from some people here that HACA doesn't need to expand out into Spa Road, that it could just stay on President Street with increased density in there. So the CNI conversation and the idea that affordable housing is going to be there is not set in stone. And I thought it could have been, but we got this resolution, this too late in housing and human welfare that we could not even address it through amendments. And you were there when they came to our committee. There was expressed that, time is of the essence. This needs to be passed. I thought that it should have had a housing caveat. But
May I?
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson.
You could have had 2 or 3 or 4 meetings. I'm just saying, like we did, and it's all good. But your point is well taken. We don't want to lose sight of what we want and what we need. But we learned that, this property, these 2 pieces of property are really being subdivided, which is part of what's taking more time because they need a clean plat before they can make the application to get the grant funding, which is a process in itself, and Williams Whalen is being pulled out of that, and so what's remediation for Williams Whalen is maybe different from plot A and plot B. So, a lot of moving parts, but not to diminish the interest in what's needed for CNI at all. But I'm just pointing out, just for this resolution, we need to focus on the remediation.
Thank you. Alderman Arnett.
But Alderman Gay, I would point out in this amendment, the very reason in Section 2, subsection C, is to be sure that after remediation, that any of the development of the properties will come back to the council to a work session and give the council the ability to do a resolution discussing the plans for the future development. So it was very much with it in mind that after remediation, there's still work for the council to do in terms of what happens on the property.
And I look forward to emailing what will be the elder statesman of the council every day to make sure that this gets.
And if you could just tell us, Mr. Fleming, since we started the Resilience Finance Authority, what kind of volume of grants have you raised?
Yeah, so I think it was one of your quotes. We were created to be another tool in the toolbox to work closely with city and county staff. So I guess we closed out officially our second fiscal year. So I've been in the job for about 2 years. We have secured and are now managing about $50 million of projects on behalf of the city and the county for projects that city and the county staff identified, not us, going out and picking our own. So this is working hand in hand with city and county.
So thank you. And for the public, this is access to $4 million that are not funds that we have access to. So worth a shot, right? Okay. All those in favour of amendment number 1,
aye.
Please say aye. Or did you?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Amendment number 2 is coordinated with you guys and the Resilience Authority, you might want to talk us through the cleanup on that amendment, or Alderman Savage worked closely
Yeah,
on
so
it tonight.
moved.
Did you want to?
Yeah, so amendment, so what I was doing earlier is going through this to compare it with Amendment 1. So let me walk you through. It's not, hopefully this won't take, so if you turn to page 5 of Amendment 2, all of those whereases are new compared to Amendment 1, right? And so the first one just states that that we've entered into a memorandum of understanding with the Resilience Authority. Second one talks about how the city and Resilience Authority have identified a grant that we want to apply to. The third one says the city emphasizes that the city is not eligible to receive this grant ourselves, which is why we're doing this deal. Fourth one is Resilience Authority would be eligible to receive the grant. And fifth one just states that Resilience Authority is willing to go through this process and accept ownership for the purpose of remediation and submitting for the grant, and how it fits into their mission. And then the sixth one says certain actions are necessary to prepare the property for remediation. So this one, I had a little bit of question on the next two, but this one states that basically in order to prepare for remediation, we may need to remove any vehicles, public works vehicles that may still be there, or some of the accessory structures, presumably. We probably can't do too much ground disturbance because of the contamination, but that the concern is that, which I think caused this to be introduced, is that some of these activities might not be covered by the grant. We don't know yet. If they're not, it just basically states that the city is going to cover the removal of those structures. I don't know. I don't know if this is coming from the Resilience Authority.
The only from what we discussed on Friday, it was Friday, right?
Yeah.
What we discussed on Friday, which I think where we left there, completely understood where we were. The addition of anything, this was, we didn't want to introduce something new because Alderman Arnett basically sponsored, helped work with us to move that forward. Was something that got missed was that any potential costs associated with getting the site ready for the grant, it would be something that we don't have the funds for. The Resilience Authority, we're not, so it's our role specifically to getting this grant and what can be paid for the grant. So if there's anything about that involves costs associated with getting the site ready for the remediation, that this would be something that could be borne by the city.
Yeah. And so that's also the last whereas speaks to that as well. That we've determined it's in the public interest to undertake these prerequisite activities if needed. So those are the new ones. I kind of want to hear also from the committee members, Steve, since we did not have a chance to discuss these at the committee.
Alderman Arnett, then Alderman Gay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was not happy to see, because we were told that the mayor's office was going to submit some amendments, and then we were told the mayor's office wasn't going to. So we left Friday thinking we had finished our work. That's just peevishness on my part, sorry. But I would point out that whereas clauses have no force in law. So as Mr. Fleming just said, there may be some things that would be cleanup. Those should go in the body of the legislation, not in whereas clauses, and they should get fiscal impact analysis. So if we were doing this properly and we wanted to put it in as one of the 12 conditions that are in the code, I would make a motion that we postpone action on this until we get the fiscal impact report and bring it back. But since it's a whereas clause, it's just information. It doesn't have any force of law, does not commit the city to any costs nor obviate the grant from any of these causes. So, I'm
Yeah, there is. Yep.
no, it was
Still in discussion for the.
Yeah. So it is frustrating to see all of these today, but as whereas clauses, I don't know, let's have 20 more. Who cares?
Thank you. Alderman Gay?
Mr. Mayor, I'm just on page 5 where the alderman just was and that the alderman from Ward 8 just alluded to. Does it not help to put in a estimate of what the prerequisite cleaning would be? How do you know what it just says? The city will take on the cost. I think that was something that was raised by the gentleman that gave public testimony earlier. Not that I completely agreed with his public testimony and the threats to sue the city. I thought that was outlandish, but I do believe that there should be some sort of guideline on the estimated or anticipated cost. Is that something that could be amended here, or?
Alderman Huntley?
So I had an idea, and I'm not making a motion here, but I would suggest that perhaps instead of saying the city shall, to satisfy the Resilience Authority's concerns, we would simply say the Resilience Authority shall not.
What? Well, what if the grant would
right?
cover
It says right here, the city shall be responsible for the undertaking. Sorry, same page we're talking about, page 6.
You're getting ahead of me a little bit.
Okay, well then, maybe I'm wrong. But Alderman Gay is concerned about this cost of being responsible for undertaking, right? That's what you were concerned about, Alderman Gay? Yeah. So if the concern is what that cost is and the desire not to tie the city's hands, while also to, for lack of a better word, indemnify the Resilience Authority, you could simply say the Resilience Authority shall not be instead of the city shall be.
But what if the grant does cover those costs?
I think we're overcomplicating it. We could always
I
withdraw the application for the $4 million if we wanted. So really, I think we're this close. Non-binding, right? Alderman Savage?
To Alderman Huntley's point, if you turn to page 6, the first number 6 in blue, that is also a new addition. That is the last new addition from the Buckley Amendment. And this does speak to the other points in the whereases by stating that the city shall be responsible for undertaking or funding the preparatory actions as are necessary. And again, I do think to the mayor's point, I don't think we need to overthink this too much because again, it's city property. And so if the grant money covers it, then of course it's going to be used to pay for those activities. And that's what it states in here. But if not, it wouldn't be fair for us to have the Resilience Authority cover it. I think we would need to do that. And I don't see that being very expensive because again, I'm guessing anything that disturbs the ground is going to have to be part of the remediation. So it's just a matter of removing any kind of our accessory structures and equipment that we may want to save.
Okay, going to vote on it. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Could I get a motion?
No. Because we don't have a fiscal impact or even any clue. So this does commit us to some unknown cost. We have to tear down structures. That's not cheap. So I think we need to do the proper procedure of having a fiscal impact note that would talk about the cost of that. And we do not have that.
Okay,
with
we
this
have
legislation.
voted already on that. Yes, so we haven't introduced third reader yet. So we voted on that. So let's move on. The third reader. Could I get a motion on third reader?
So
We can
moved.
continue the discussion.
I'm so moved.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Alderman Savage.
It just has misguiled. Yeah, for those who may not be aware, she does have significant professional experience with remediation, and brownfield, I believe. But do you have any? Could you give us any additional descriptions of what may be included in number 6, as far as does the office have any kind of quantification of any idea of what might need to be removed before remediation happens?
So the notice of funding opportunity has not yet been published, so we've not had an opportunity to look at what everything that the grant will cover at this point. Sometimes in remediation, things are covered and sometimes they're not. Usually what's in the ground and you have to dig up, because as Mr. Fleming was alluding to, if you disturb the surface of the soil, you're into remediation. So usually those things like buried tires, buried metal, cans, underground storage tanks, which are specifically mentioned, I believe, in the grant, are covered. Structures, existing structures, there's underground storage tanks there. That would be part of the remediation, because you have to remove them and handle them and dispose of them in certain ways that are required by the Environmental Protection Agency. But some of the above ground structures, abandoned vehicles, that type of thing that maybe not in running order that you have to have towed away, may or may not be covered by this grant. We would have to look at the grant requirements, which are not available right now. Typically, buildings with basements, this is typically, but again, we don't have the grant, specified this for us yet because we haven't seen it. The grant application's not yet available. But sometimes with basements where you are excavating, that sort of structure is covered. I don't know about the salt dome, how far down into the ground it goes. Again, that would be speculation on my part.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And I think the point is these costs are going to have to be covered regardless. I can appreciate the desire to have fiscal impact note, but I think at this point it's really impossible for us to put a firm number on that without seeing the grant. But again, regardless of the amount, we're going to have to figure out a way to pay for it anyway if we want to do remediation. And I think everybody agrees that remediation has to happen. Yeah, I think we'll have to figure that out, and when we get to that point, I just don't see an alternative.
The gas tanks would be clearly covered by this $4 million, right? The removal of the gas tanks would clearly be.
The $4 million. Well, the grant, I think they believe, is around $4 million, and the consultant did believe that the remediation for both properties, that we should be able to cover both of the properties, both the sides, with that $4 million. And that doesn't include the development costs, right? That's going to be separate. And in this case, depending on the grant stipulations, the demolition of the building, not the tanks, because those are underground most likely, but the demolition of the building might be extra. But again, that's going to be coupled in with, that could be coupled in with your entire development plan. Usually that's included with the developer. So it may be covered by them and not the city, but they're just, that's why we struggled with this so much, is there's so many moving pieces to this, and we're trying to plan for every kind of scenario, and I feel like we did a pretty good job with it.
Okay, and we know there's a salt dome there, we know there's some trailers there, we know there are vehicles there. These are the things that are above ground that we're pretty familiar with. We all know the site really, really well. The idea of getting the money is for things such as removal of the gas tanks and the gas station from that area. But also, we also understand that we can put costs onto the developer as well. Right? So I need a motion as amended, please, on second reader.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Thank you.
But did we vote on that amendment?
Yeah, we didn't get a motion as amended, so I just need to get that on the record. Okay. And we got to vote on that. Before we go to third reader, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, could I get a motion on third reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Has there been substantial changes?
Just
roll
FYI,
call,
Mr.
please.
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Gay.
I'm just for the sake of the conversation, a salt dome is about $800,000 to demolish. You just based off
Who
of
said that?
Google.
did a project. It cost.
I could get my cousin to do it for half of that.
I'm just saying, this is what
I think that's cronyism.
You can't come forward. I'm sorry. What? With no, I'm sorry. Are you with the Resilience Authority? Or?
Who's the engineer?
What's it?
Public Works.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah.
She's come on. Yeah, you should have come.
Sorry, I just got nervous when I saw you go to the microphone. I was like, yeah.
Hi, good evening. Allison DeManio, Department of Public Works Engineering. We already have a cost estimate for the demolition of the salt dome at $200,000.
Must
Thank
be his
you.
cousin.
That's good. Sorry. Thank you so much. That was great. Yeah, thank you.
I just didn't want us to go into $800,000.
Mr. Mayor, it must be your cousin.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And again, a lot of what this is really getting at is funds required necessary to do the pre-work to be able to carry out the grant. So it really is about like getting the site ready. So as Alderman Savage said, that if there are pieces of this project, taking down the salt, whatever, that could be a part of the development project down the road, that that could be taken care of there. Getting the site ready for the grant.
Right. Well, thank you for everybody's detailed thought into this. Can I get a motion on third? We're on third reader now.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
And then we're going to need a roll call so we can go and get $4 million, hopefully.
Ready? Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Huntley?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Alderman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye, but I'm going to be sending you emails every day.
You and Dwan.
Dwan can start a podcast.
You can figure out email address?
All right. Mr. City Attorney,
Mr.
please present the next on the
Mr. Mayor,
agenda. Yep.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, you have the next item is resolutions, second reader, R 3025, 5-year consolidated housing community development strategic plan.
Thank you. Alderman, can someone move it? Or can we get you
Second.
after?
Yeah.
Thank you. Can we come back to you on that? Right. Got a motion and a second on that.
So move.
Thank you. Adopting it. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, before that, Alderman Savage, before we go to the next thing,
We're good.
did you have?
Well, yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank staff and Resilience Authority and City Manager's Office and my colleagues for sitting with us on whatever it was, 6 hours to go through everything. It really helped, I think, improve our comfort with this. And yeah, it was, and the law office was incredibly helpful.
Well,
Thank
and
you.
I want to thank the committees for the double time that they did to get this through. It's definitely worth a shot. I know you worked really hard, and there are some variables, but you got to trust the process at some point, so thank you so much. All right. I think we'll re-vote on that. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
The motion is complete, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anything else for good order? Alderman Pendle Charles?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I have 3 things for good order. Number 1, I implore everyone to read, which just came out, I think, yesterday, the annual report for the city. I thought it was incredible, and it's a testimony to us as well as staff, I do believe. I was very impressed. Number 2, a belated birthday shout out to Alderman Arnett. His birthday was last week. Happy birthday. And number 3, I want to let everyone know that today, my husband and I are celebrating our 46th wedding anniversary.
All right, you can clap for that. Rob, can we clap?
And I chose to spend it with all of you all.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I just wanted
City
to,
Manager?
maybe I missed it. Did we get our 3025 passed?
But that was
Yeah.
the last. That was the last one.
Yeah, we just did it.
Just did. Yep.
We're just so quick.
Thank you all for being
Thanks for
here so
joining
late,
us.
everybody. I know you guys start early and work on weekends. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Alderman Arnett.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I did want to make a comment about some of the public comments and this piece of written comment that we have here, which I take personal umbrage. First of all, it mixes church and state, which we're not supposed to do. But secondly, is accusing us of corruption, of working with the developers and violating the code that we took as elected officials. And I can tell you, and I think my observation of the rest of my colleagues is everyone on this council has taken their vow and have worked as hard as humanly possible. We may not be perfect, but we have worked for our constituents. And I think we worked pretty darn hard. So I'm very disappointed. I will see the author of this at lunch tomorrow, and I will express my view then as well. But we need to have some proper decorum on the part of the electorate, and taking these personal attacks after we work so hard is very disappointing.
And I'll just back that up. I'll stand up for the integrity of every single person on this council. I see how hard you work. Like you said, none of us are perfect, but we haven't run away from the hard things, right? It's easy to do nothing. Lots of people do nothing and then they're happy with that. But we don't have a choice to do nothing at City Dock anymore. And the irony is, this is the council that will protect the historic district. And some of the accusations, people are entitled to have their accusations about City Dock, but that's all right. We're all allowed to have our own opinion. Okay. Thank you. Alderman Pendell Charles.
And it's evidence in that annual report. That's why I brought it up, because I think we are imperfect people making imperfect decisions. But I think more often than not, way more often than not, we get it right. And I think that annual report gives us a global view of everything that we've accomplished during your administration, Mr. Mayor. And I'm proud to be a part of it. And we're not going to get it right all the time. And we welcome the critique, no problem at all. But I think when it comes down to it, I think that annual report in many ways shows how hard we've worked, the work that we put into it, the blood, sweat, and tears that we put into it, that we do each and every day, 100 emails a day at least. And I think we have no staff, and we try to get it right, and we try to do a good job. And we welcome, again, the critique, because that makes us better. But I just want to say that here and now. Thank you so much to everybody on this dais and all staff, and our residents and businesses and visitors as well. Thank you all so much.
Thank you all. Okay. Could I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.